Okay, so this is the third part of interview session. In this episode, we are going to discuss directives and pipe questions, right? So majorly, if we say there are only three questions in directive. So first will be definition, like what are the directive. Then we have different types of directive and why it is called so. Like we have structural and attribute, right? So why it is called structural and why it is called attribute. And third, this is kind of an advanced question, like various ways how we can use a directive. This is kind of an advanced question. Okay. After that, pipes, right? So again, with pipe also, pipe is the simplest and the smallest topic we have in Angular. So what is pipe is the first definition we have. Then pure and impure pipe. We have two different types of pipe. Then the default, so many pipes are there, but they don't require kind of explanation. Just a sync and JSON pipe, I will explain. Then how do we create a custom pipe, right? So all these questions we are going to cover, and some small topics against we have, right? So let's see. So first question is like, what is directive? So simplest definition in English will be directive add behavior to an existing DOM element or existing component instance. This is the simplest definition we have. What it means is, with the use of directive, we can add extra behavior to an existing element. Let's say if we use ngif, right? What ngif does, it will hide and show. If we use ng class, what it will does, it will add a dynamic class. Same like ng style and ng for. With ng for, it will create that element. Means either it is adding element, removing element, adding something extra class or adding CSS, but somehow it is adding some behavior to the existing DOM element, right? So that is nothing but the definition of directive. Directives add behavior to an existing DOM element, right? Now, multiple directives can be added on a single element, right? We can add multiple directive on a single element. Okay. So this is just an example of custom directive. I will explain it later. Now, in Angular, we have some pre-default directives like router outlet, router link, view child, ng model, ng switch. So these are nothing but default directives, right? Again, we have a two major types of directive. Someone may say someone may say like we have three, or someone may say like we have four. But majorly we have two only, structural and attribute, based on the behavior, right? But again, component is also a kind of a directive, but it is with a template. Again, we can create our custom directive. So that is a custom directive. So majorly structural directive is there and attribute directive is there. So if someone asks you like how many directives are there, so if you are saying two, it is also fine. But if you are saying four, then you need to mention all this, right? Don't just say four and you don't mention all those types. Then he will ask the question like, we don't have four types of directives. So if you are saying like we have four directives, so better mention all the types like this, right? So first directive is structural directive. In the name itself, you can say structural means structure. It can change the structure of the DOM. What are the directives which can change the structure? ngif and ngfor. Changing structure means it can add or remove element, right? It can add element from the DOM or it can remove element from the DOM. So what ngif does it? Ngif will add or remove the element, right? Which we normally use to hide and show. Actually, it doesn't hide and show. It removes the element from the DOM. It is never hide and show. By the user, when user looks it, user think like it is a hide, it is getting hide and show. But as a programmer, we should be crystal clear that it is getting removed. Means that particular element is getting deleted from the DOM, right? So this is ngif. Then we have ngfor directive, right? So ngfor directive we use to iterate on the HTML element. Means wherever we have an array, and with that array, I want to iterate. Let's say it can be option in the drop down, it can be paragraph, it can be table. Means in table we can iterate tr, right? Or it can be simple label, span, or anything. Whatever the element you want to iterate n number of times, so you can use ngfor. So ngfor is used as a for loop, but in HTML to iterate over the element, right? And obviously it needs the array. Just like the for loop, we can specify the condition like for int I less than 10, but no, in ng for we need the array only, right? So this is the basic definition of ng if and ng for. These are the structural directive. Then it comes to attribute directive. The name itself again defines the word. Attribute means it can change. It will change the attribute of the existing element. It cannot add or remove element. It cannot add or remove element, right? So it can only add extra behavior to existing element. Attribute directives are responsible to add behavior to existing element, means it cannot add or remove element from the component, right? So this is the simplest definition we have for attribute directive, right? So someone will say you like with style display none and display block, you are hiding and showing. So it is kind of adding or removing. So no, just I previously explained, ng doesn't add display none or display block. It will remove the element from the DOM. So if we say, if someone say you like with style also we can hide and show. Yeah, it is hide and show, but we are adding just style over there. The element will be there. It is not going to be removed, right? But in case of ng, it is going to be completely removed from the DOM, right? So this is the difference. So first is the ng style. So there are many ways how we can use the ng style. So I have explained two types here. So first is using, you can say I have created a variable, my style. In that I have an object of CSS. You can see color red, width 200 pixel. And this variable I'm passing to this paragraph. So whatever the CSS I have over here, that will be applied to this paragraph. Second way is using kind of a dynamic way. So you can see object is here, and inside that height is fixed, means my CSS key is fixed, just the value I'm getting from the variable. So these are the various ways. Just like this height, you can go and add multiple CSS, and the value can be static also or can be dynamic also, right? So these are the two ways of ng style. Third is ng class. So ng class has three ways. So first is, if you have a class, and in that, if you have a variable in that variable you have a class stored. You can see primary is getting stored. Primary is the value in this particular variable. And if I want to add this class to this paragraph, so simply I can use ng class in the square bracket and provide the variable name. So whatever the value we have in that variable, that will be added to the class. This is way one. Second way is ternary operator. If we have two classes, that needs to be added with either or. If this condition get true, we have to add this, otherwise this. Only two classes based on the condition. So let's say we have two variables, num1 and num2. If num1 equal to num2, we have to add this class, that is text primary, otherwise this class. Means conditional classes. Only two classes can be added over here. If this condition gets true, this class will be applied, otherwise this class will be applied, right? This is way two. Third way is multiple condition with multiple classes. So you can see the difference over first way and second way is directly in the double quotes, you can write the classes and the with ternary operator. But in the third way, you need the object. Okay. So here you can say class 1 will be applied if this condition gets satisfied. Just I have written the condition, but your condition can be anything. Means this class 1 will be applied only if this condition gets true. Then comma. First one got over. Then second class. This class will be applied if this condition get true. Just like that. Again, third class. So you can add multiple classes with multiple conditions. When you are working with some kind of project where you have kind of this scenario now, where you need to add multiple classes based on multiple conditions. So this is the right approach for you. So in ng style, we just had two ways, but in ng style, ng class, we had three different ways to add the class. First is the normal, second is the ternary operator, means either or conditions, and third is the multiple classes based on multiple conditions. Right? Now, one extra advanced question is like what various ways how we can use the directive, whether it can be ng for ng class or ng style. So you can say first way is by using variable. First way is by using variable like below. Suppose let's say I have taken an example of ng, but instead of ng, you can same methods you will be using for ng class and ng style or ng for also, right? I have created a variable which is having false value, and that variable I can use it over here. This is way one, by directly using the variable, right? Second way is by directly providing the value. This is not going to be any scenario. I mean, this is not a proper scenario where it will be needed, but this is also possible, because just to explain, like ngif require true and false value. So it doesn't matter, like it will get that value from the variable or directly also, right? Third is by passing the value or comparing. So you can see in the ng for, I'm using item.name not equal to empty. So this is comparison, right? So this is comparison. I am not using any variable, but I'm using value from the for loop and I'm comparing it. So if this comparison get true, then this span will be visible, otherwise it will be hidden, right? Third is, this is the kind of very advanced, like we can pass a function also. So you can see one function is there and which is returning some variable value, and that function we are using on the ng. So now these are the four, we can skip this second way. So these are the three various ways by which we can use directives. Means first by variable, second by comparison, or third by function. Now, same like ngif for also we can pass the function, but that function should return the array, right? Same like ng style and ng class also. All these three ways all these three ways you can use an ng class, all the directives. So these are the various ways. I mean, there are some scenarios where you cannot create a variable and use that in the ng, right? And you are going to need some you are going to do some calculation or some computation, and then you are going to return true and false. So like that, in that scenario, you can create a function, do your operation over here, based on the result you can return true or false, and you can use that function over here, right? So these are the various way by we can use directives in the HTML. That's about directives. Now pipe. So again, in Angular, pipe is a very limited topics, limited questions we have related to pipe, and it's a very easy. So first thing is like, what definition of pipe? Pipes are used to format the data we display in HTML, right? So you should mention HTML only. Pipes are used to format the data we display in HTML component.html. So let's say you are getting the data from the API, but from API you are getting all the name in capital case or small case, but you need to show that in the capital or only small case, so you can use the pipe. You are getting some date from your API, complete date with time zone, everything, but you just need to show the time, so you can use the date pipe and you can pass the format like HHMM, right? Then it will show the time only. So Angular has provided some built-in pipes like date pipe, uppercase pipe, lowercase, currency, decimal, percent, async pipe, slice pipe, right? So there are number of default pipes which are already provided by the Angular. If we create our custom pipe now, it will look like this. In the custom pipe, we will have transform function, and transform function will have two parameters. First is the value and second is the argument. Argument, it can be array of argument. So many arguments you can pass. So this is the image, or you can just remember, right? So this is the image of the custom pipe you can create. Now, next question is like pure and impure pipe. What is the difference between pure and impure pipe? This is the most tricky question, only tricky question we have with pipe. So a pure pipe is called only when Angular detect a change in the value or the parameter passed to a pipe. What it means, let me show you the code now. Now this is the ng4 component and I have a pipe. My pipe name is NA, right? And this pipe I'm going to apply on the name, right? Why it is giving, okay, it has got error, print text. Let me send parameter, right? Now if this is a pure pipe, right? What we are discussing, like if this is a pure pipe, it will only execute when the value is changed or its parameter got changed. Means this NA pipe will execute if only the name property of that array will get changed or the parameter we are passing is getting changed. This is the definition of pure pipe. Means pure pipe will execute only when the value or the parameter get changed. This is pure. But we can make this pipe impure also by, in the decorator, we can say pure is equal to false. So now this is an impure pipe. Okay. Now let's say the contact value got changed. Still this pipe will execute. Doesn't matter the value or the parameter got changed or not. Any value in this component got changed. Any change detection happens in this component, this pipe will execute. Right? If this value is same, the name value is same only. But if let's say contact or city got changed, still this is going to be executed. It is not going to change the result, but because we have made that pipe impure, so for every change detection, it is going to change. Let me show you the example now. I'm just going to print console.log pipe called. Let's save and check now. And let me selected city is going to be there now. I will add just a text box. Let's save and check. So let's make this. So by default, we haven't added anything. So this is pure pipe. Okay. So let's see. On the page load, see 5 times pipe get called because we have got 5 record and only on the name we have added that, right? So only 5 times that pipe got called. Now I have the variable binded to this text box. If I'm changing some value, see pipe is not getting called. Now let's make this pipe impure. Pure. So first time it was pipe got executed only 5 times. Now see how many times it pipe got called? 5 times. 5 times means 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Just like n number of times it has executed because the variable value got changed. Now, if I'm changing something in the text box, still that pipe is getting called. Is there any need to execute that pipe again if I'm changing the variable text box value? Right? There is no need now. So that is nothing but impure pipe. If in that component any variable value got changed, pipe will execute because it is impure. For every change detection, that pipe will execute. It is for impure pipe. But if it is a pure pipe, it won't change the value. If only this value get changed, then only that variable, that pipe will execute. Right? So hope you have understood. This is kind of a tricky, and most of the, if anyone is asking you the pipe now, everyone will ask you to explain pure and impure pipe. It is of no use of, if we consider a project, never we are going to use the impure pipe, but still it is a topic. So everyone is going to ask you. So be prepared for it. Right? So pure and impure is done. Then async and JSON pipe. So let me just explain that. Now, okay, some more questions are there. Parameterized pipe. Parameterized pipe means pipe where we can send the parameter like this. So date pipe you might have seen in here also. One parameter I'm being using and I can send that parameter, right? So this is the parameterized pipes. Chaining of pipe. You can chain multiple pipes on a particular interpolation. Let's say birthday is there, you can use the date pipe. I mean, on the birthday, you cannot use the upper, there is no proper use of this uppercase on the date together, but you can use uppercase, then your custom pipe. So many pipes you can use on a single interpolation. Then someone will ask you like, what will be the order of execution? So left to right. First date pipe will execute, then uppercase pipe will execute, right? So you can use multiple pipe and order of execution will be from left to right. Then async pipe. So async pipe is used wherever we have an observable, just like subscribe, right? What subscribe does, whenever an observable emits, we subscribe the data. So same thing, you can use the pipe for an observable. See, here I have created a variable, but in this variable, I'm storing observable. And in set interval, after every 2 seconds, I'm emitting the time. Means after every 2 seconds, I'm using the next. I'm emitting the value in this observable. So in HTML, I can use the time. Time is having data type of observable. So directly I can subscribe. Over here, I don't need to write the subscribe. Directly, whatever the output, whatever the time or whatever the value, this is emitting, that new date and time string, that I will get it over here, right? So this is kind of a use of async pipe. Same, this async pipe you can use in case of API calls also, right? So if you have an API call and that is, you are subscribing to it and then you are using that variable. I mean, if API call is there, you are subscribing that and storing the response in that any variable, and then you are using that variable. Instead of creating that variable, just create an observable of that API call and directly use that like this. So whatever the response you normally store into the variable and use that variable after that. So you can directly use it over here. In case of async pipe, you don't need to unsubscribe that, right? And you will what we can say, you will reduce one variable that you need to use, right? So this is about async pipe. Then one more question is like, what difference is there if we call pipe in .ts and .html? So the definition was, pipes are used to format the data we display in HTML, right? So this is a normal definition, but we can use the pipe in .ts also, right? So we can use the pipe in component.ts also. That transform method is there now. Whatever you have seen over here, this method you can use in component.ts also. I mean, you have to integrate that pipe imports and everything, then you can use it. But question will be like, what difference is there if we call the pipe in .ts and HTML? So if we call the pipe in .ts, it will modify the actual value, but in HTML, it won't modify the actual value. So if you're using the pipe in .ts, you are going to modify the existing value. But if you are going to use the pipe in HTML, you are not going to modify the existing value. It will be like that only. Just on the UI, you are going to display the formatted value, right? So these are the various pipe question we had. Okay, one more, that JSON pipe. So let's say, let's go over here. Let's create an object, student obj colon any equal to object name colon Chetan city colon Pune. Again, that inside that again I have address. It is going to be again object plot number 12 city Pune. Pin code. Right. So I have an object. Inside that I have again error object. Let's say I want to see what are the values or the properties I have just for the debugging purpose. When you are going to work or when you are working on the actual project now, you can get multiple inner object, somewhere array will be there. Again, inside that array object will be there. So many manipulations in the object can be there. But when you are going to do the interpolation, you need to see like what in the object, inside what property you are going to get the object. So many things are going to be there. So if you need to see that, right, if I directly print it like this now, you will get object. But what if you have to see what it actually holds? So you can use the JSON pipe. So now this object is going to be converted into string format and you can see like that, right? So JSON pipe is just used for our developer purpose. We are not, somewhere scenarios might be there, like whatever the data you get, you just need to show like that. There also you can use the JSON pipe, but JSON pipe is normally used for our purpose to see the data, what that particular object is going to have, like what are the keys and what are the inner objects it has, what are the values, right? So for that debugging purpose only, we are going to use the JSON pipe. Never put it like this in your actual code. Just for the debugging purpose, we use the JSON pipe. It will convert the JSON, object into string format, and then it is getting printed over here so that it is in readable format, right? So these are the various questions I had to discuss in this episode, right? In the next episode, again, we are going to discuss more topics like services and routing, right? So in next episode, again, 2 topics or 3 topics we will try to discuss. So that's it with the current video.